Commander! Allow! Good day!
Welcome to Filmoscopy, a quaint, quiet little podcast where three shy individuals share their opinions about movies they've seen in the past and or new releases, so I guess just throw out that last part. I am your host, Lance, and I will provide the most that I can today. To my right, it's going to be Owen. How are you doing, sir?
Yo, what's up? I'm doing good.
And over the phone line through AT&T, the AT&T is Verizon.
Yeah.
Oh, and through AT&T, that was a good guess. Cody's on the line, first-time caller, long-time listener. How you doing, sir?
I'm good.
First time caller.
So, today we will be doing a review on Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens.
Before we get into that, Lance, I have a little something that I need to introduce to the listeners here. I'm going to throw out a little mini review of Space Jam: A New Legacy.
Okay, hold on one sec, Cody. Hold on one sec, okay? Hold on, wait.
Y'all ready for this shit?
All right, Cody. Let us know why you hate Space Jam 2 because you don't like LeBron James. And that there was a tease cameo of Michael Jordan, but it was actually the actor Michael Jordan, not the Michael Jordan that cares.
We all know that you're actually upset because Lola's bunny has small titties in this movie.
Yeah, definitely. So, have either one of you seen Space Jam, the new one?
No.
Okay. So, I'm just going to give a quick rundown of this. So,
like 30 seconds is all you got.
30 seconds left. 1, 2.
So
1, 2, 3, 4. Do it up, dude. Sorry.
So yeah, I am very disappointed with the new Space Jam. LeBron James, I don't have any problems with him, like, you know, as a person or a basketball player or anything like that. But he is a terrible actor. I mean, just awful. They needed to have a comedian in here with him to like bounce off of more than just.
You bounce off of basketball, you get it?
Yeah.
He did it, man.
To dribble, yeah.
He did a little iteration there. I love it.
Double dribble.
Because the only characters, the only things he really had to like bounce off of as an actor was Bugs Bunny, and it's just not.
You did it again.
Yeah, what's up, cack?
It's not good enough, and the plot is just bizarre. Like Looney Tunes, like in the original Space Jam, Looney Tunes basically existed in the same world that we exist in. It was just kind of like underground, sort of. And in this one, it all exists in like a computer server on like Warner Brothers network, and it just.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's so bizarre. Like when he gets shot down to Looney Tunes world, he passes like a Game of Thrones world and a Casablanca world. You know, for all those kids out there that love Casablanca.
Yeah, big fans of Casablanca and Humphrey Bogart.
And then like him and Bugs Bunny have to go around these different worlds for like 5 minutes to collect the other Looney Tunes who left. Like Donald Duck went to the DC world, and there's someone in the...
You mean Daffy?
Yeah, Daffy Duck, sorry.
What the fuck, Cody?
Donald Duck.
You're going to review a movie and you're going to miss a fucking fact like that.
Look, it's an honest mistake.
One of them doesn't talk.
They both talk.
No, Daffy. Donald's like... And Daffy Duck's like, lick my bill, motherfucker.
Put it on my bill.
I'm gonna need Owen to like do that rest of the episode.
So and then like it all culminates in this basketball game where LeBron James and the Looney Tunes are playing against LeBron James's son and like these characters that he created because his son really wanted to make video games instead of be a basketball player like his dad.
He's like, "Fuck you in your dreams, you little fuck."
And it's just like, this is so stupid. And while they're playing the game, there's all these like other like Warner Brothers owned characters around the court, and they're all in like Party City costumes. Like there's one guy dressed up as Mr. Freeze from Batman and Robin, but as Mr. Freeze when he's wearing like his bathrobe in the ice lounge. If you remember that part of the movie.
I think
course.
I do.
Yeah, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but it's like just some like knockoff. And then there's a guy dressed like Pennywise, but he really doesn't look anything like Pennywise. And it's just like, this is bizarre. And overall, it's a disappointment. No one needs to watch Space Jam. End of discussion.
So, were you all ready for this? Fuck some pussy, getting head, get some brain, getting laid.
Hey. All right, so we are done discussing Space Jam.
Now we're gonna
What's the subtitle for it, Cody?
A New Legacy.
A New Legacy.
2049.
And
2049.
Space Jam, the end of a legacy.
Yeah, it seems like that way. All right.
Space
Well, ladies
Jam
and gentlemen
27.
of the jury, and I brought to you the evidence of Star Wars The Force Awakens, also known as Star Wars Episode 7 - The Force Awakens, is a 2015 American epic space opera, film produced, co-written, directed by...
You can't just read it off Wikipedia.
Don't fucking call me out for that. It's been a fucking year and you're going to do that now? What the fuck, dude?
I guess you're right.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay, first and foremost, what is everybody's first experience and overall experience, I should say, with Star Wars in general? Like, what's the first movie you ever seen of it? What was, like, your first impression? What is your overall impression of the franchise, like, as a fan? Because I do feel like, other than Owen, who lost... he didn't lose his religion, he lost his Star Wars fandom.
That's me in the corner.
I was going to say, is that you in the corner, Owen?
I'm very curious what everybody's like what I just said there. Like, I'll go ahead and start because it's probably the least interesting, and I feel like it's gonna be more interesting for you guys, especially Owens. Like the first time I ever watched any kind of Star Wars, it was the 1997 special edition VHS tapes. It was a big gold case that had the original movies, and this is before, obviously, in '99 when Episode 1 came out.
Did you like when the fucking CGI monsters walked in front of the screen and took up the entire shot?
You know, I didn't. Well, the thing was, in those movies, they gave you a fucking 20-minute documentary that you had to fucking sit through and watch.
It was before the movie. They're like, yeah, I made all these special effects.
Yeah.
Because I have a copy of the Episode 4 special edition somewhere in there. And yeah, it's just George Lucas sitting in a chair like, oh.
Yeah, we hated that. We just wanted to like fast forward, and that was the first time I ever watched it. And I knew going into it that Darth Vader was Luke's dad. That was already spoiled for me, but I still was super interested in it. And I found out somehow, like the Boba Fett character, he interested me in Episode 5. Found out he actually was a big cult figure. I didn't know what cult figure meant at the time, but you know, it wasn't like mainly popular, but it was very popular within Star Wars. And, you know, yeah, that was my first experience. I enjoyed all the releases leading up to this because I was a kid. Like I said, 2005 was when Episode 3 came out, so I was 17 at the time. Owen was 5. But going into these movies, I was super duper excited, and this movie, the surprise was spoiled for me, which is going to be a fun little story to get into later on. But yeah, so up until The Last Jedi, I had excitement for every movie that was released, and after I watched The Last Jedi, which I was excited for, it killed a lot of my excitement. So I guess I'll go with Cody, since he's the second oldest. And I'll try to go just like oldest to youngest in this episode. So go ahead, Cody.
So yeah, I don't remember exactly which one of the original trilogy films was the first one I watched. I know it was one of the original trilogy movies because we had them all on VHS when I was a kid, and I don't know where the VHS came from. You know, they were just. It's one of those things where I was so young that, you know, you're not really aware of where other things are coming from in the house.
Do you know if it was a special edition or was it the original?
I don't think it was a special edition because there wasn't that documentary thing in the beginning of any of them. But we didn't have like the sleeves for them. Like a lot of the VHSs we had when I was a kid, we just had like we didn't have the cases, we just had the tapes, and we had them like all stacked up.
Ew, what the fuck is wrong with you?
So
cuts down on shelf space.
No, it doesn't really. They're the same size as the tape.
It does, but a lot of like your kids' movies back then, came in those like spongy packages. Yeah, but I mean, we did have some cases, but that's not the point of this. The point is,
that's the point.
I don't think it was a special edition tapes. I think it was the original VHS print. And it was one of those things I watched as a kid. I didn't really understand the story of it, but I thought it was cool because, they had laser swords and the bad guy was interesting and all that. And
Leia's titties were out.
of course, I was young enough to where I really loved the prequel trilogy when it released. I was only like 9 years old when I was 8 or 9 years old when episode 1 came out. No, wait, what year did episode 1 come out? 99?
1999.
You were like 7.
Oh, yeah, I was 7 then. So, yeah, I mean...
I love Jar Jar!
Of course, that to me... Well, see, for me, I love Darth Maul and the pod racing stuff. And...
now this is pod
racing. And then, so, fast forward years later, I become a little more cynical on the prequel movies by the time, like, the sequel movies started being talked about and like announced and all that. And I remember it was weird because with The Force Awakens, I think I was so annoyed by like the amount of hype that this movie had that I ended up just reading the plot like the day that the movie came out. And I was just to ruin it for myself. I was like, you know what? Screw it. I don't plan on seeing this. All these Star Wars nerds have just got me so irritated at this point. And but when I did finally see it, I really enjoyed it. So to this day, I still enjoy it, but maybe not as much as I originally did. But I do still think it's a good movie, in my opinion.
Well, that was kind of boring. I'm sorry, everybody. Owen, what's your experience? Owen, what's your experiences, sir?
Spice it up. Okay.
Spice it up.
So before I had hair on my balls.
Let's be honest, you don't have any still, okay?
Still don't. I don't remember which one I watched either. And I don't even remember if like my first experience was with a video game, because it might have been. I might have played like fucking Star Wars Battlefront 1 before I watched any of the movies.
It's funny enough that you say that, because I think my first experience with Star Wars was playing Super Star Wars on the Super Nintendo.
Hell yeah, that game's fucking hard as balls.
I don't think I could ever get past like the 3rd level. So
yeah, I could never get past the fucking first level on Tatooine. I'd always get fucking killed.
Oh, the one I struggled with a lot was the 2nd level, where you're in like what is that? The speeder or whatever. And,
yeah.
Because it would take forever to get to the end of that level, and there were like rocks and shit everywhere. So usually you blow up before you could ever get to the end.
Those games are fucking bullshit. I have that one. I have Super Star Wars, and then I have like Super Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, I've never played that one, but
it's fucking just as hard as the first one.
Yeah, of course. And in the Japanese version of Super Star Wars, Darth Vader turns into various animals, like a scorpion.
Get over here. Well, seeing how this is a good spot to put in our ad, this episode is sponsored today by Blue Chew. It's super hard. Go ahead.
My dick is hard. I wish we were sponsored by Blue Chew. They could send us some dick pills or something.
They work okay. I tried it.
Please sponsor us. Please give us some dick pills.
I give them a shot. I'm like, boy, this thing. I mean, I really thought it'd be like within like 2 minutes. Whoop. No, you still have to do kind of some work. I just wanted to do and walk around with a boner all day.
Tug on your balls a little bit. Please let our dicks be hard on podcast. We'll take Blue Chew on the podcast. Okay?
God. All right, go ahead. Like the first experience was.
So I either played the games or like I watched one of the movies when I was really young. I do remember the first time I did watch, like the first time I remember watching a Star Wars movie, and it was Return of the Jedi. I remember it being the original cut without the special effects added. And I just remember being pissed off because like the rebels were winning, and I fucking hated the rebels. Like I like the way the Empire looked. I thought stormtroopers looked badass.
And Darth Vader's the coolest villain of all time.
I thought Darth Vader, Boba Fett, and all the stormtroopers looked way the fuck cooler than all the rebels. And like one of the friends I was watching it with was like, well, the rebels are kind of like, you know, cool army guys. And I'm like, but they look fucking stupid. They look dumb. So I remember like kind of being pissed. But, you know, I was always kind of fascinated with the world and shit. And I loved playing the games. My first experience like in the theaters watching it is I walked in to see, and I think I've told the story on the podcast before, but I walked in to see episode 3 in theaters. And I got so fucking bored by the time they started, like, the Emperor and Yoda started fighting, that I was like, Mom, can we, like, leave? She was like, yeah. And then we went in and, like, watched fucking Madagascar instead. Like, so that was my experience with episode 3. I always liked the world of the prequels, but I never thought that the movies were very good. They're fucking boring and lifeless.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
Yeah, when these new trilogies came out, I was sort of hyped in the beginning because, like everybody else, I saw the trailer and, you know, some familiar characters come back, and it felt a lot more, like, adventurous than how the prequels were. And, you know, Rian Johnson was directing, and, like, I had heard some talk about how he would be a good decision for a director of, like, new Star Wars movies. So I eventually like got access to episode 7. I watched it.
Are you talking? You say Rian Johnson directed this?
Oh, sorry, J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
I'm sorry, I meant J.J. Abrams. But I eventually got access to episode 7, and I got to the part where Chewie and I think Han Solo show up, and by that point I was just exhausted by the pace of the movie, and I fucking was just completely bored of like all of the new characters that I just turned it off and walked away. And now the first time I have completely watched through all of episode 7 was for this podcast. So
Hell yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was kind of boring too. I apologize. Jesus, fucking this episode's like fucking just sinking. No, I'm just kidding. That was great, guys. You know I love you. All right, well, real quick before I jump into this movie, I gotta get something off my chest. Star Wars started out with 3 movies over the course of roughly 6 years, I think 77 to 83. And you had these things called just the regular cuts. I mean, they were named Star Wars. They were named The Empire Strikes Back. They were named Return of the Jedi. In 1997, they were released as episodes 4, 5, and 6, meaning that Lucas was going to do a prequel trilogy to lead into that story. Now, when you do a prequel, it's very important to know that you have a baseline that you have to get into. So when you come up with a story, it needs to lead into the story you have already written. That is extremely hard for most people to create a prequel, especially afterwards. It wouldn't be a prequel if it wasn't created afterwards. So a lot of people are like, oh, we have these ideas, we want to add stuff to it. But ultimately, you're like, wow, the new movies look really more polished than the old movies. Why in the fuck do they look like shit when they go into the future? You know? And they had a re-release. I believe they did a VHS release in like 94, 95. That's probably the one that Owen owns, I believe, that his parents owned. In 1997, they did a re-release with all the polishings, if you will.
Yeah.
If you call it that. Yeah,
ruinings.
Yeah, the ruinings. They add stuff to kind of like make it look not so special effecty, but more CGI-y the best they could. That's not a word, but whatever. And they came out. That's the first thing I ever watched. I thought it was fine. And then they did a DVD release, I believe, in 2004 with even more things. And here's the problem when we start getting into. Lucas changed things in the original trilogy for the DVD release to match what he had done in the prequels. You've taken a work that at this point had been since 1977, 2005, roughly 2000. So almost 30 years since this thing started. And you start changing things of something 30 years ago to fix something that you created at this point roughly 4 or 5 years ago from when the episode 1 came out. This and Dragon Ball Z are the only 2 fucking franchises that will fucking amend the original work to fit the new bullshit. And that's my problem with Star Wars. They changed Boba Fett's original voice because George Lucas decided to make Boba Fett a clone of the bounty hunter Jango Fett in Star Wars Episode 2. So they had the guy who played Jango Fett record his voice for Boba Fett's lines. He only has like 3 lines anyway. But they changed his voice because he's supposed to be a clone. That's fine, but to me, you're erasing the contribution this actor made to Star Wars. Otherwise, no one's ever going to like look him up, and most of his shit may be forgotten. Who knows? But it's one of those things that bothers me, and especially Boba Fett's original voice was fucking badass compared to Australian. And then
he's a New Zealander.
New Zealander, sorry, my bad. And going into Return of the Jedi for the DVD release, they took away Sebastian Shaw, who was the actor who played Darth Vader in his bodysuit. And he wasn't even the actor who played him in the bodysuit. He was just for the scene where Vader's laying on his back. And
he's like, oh, my eyebrows are going to be taken away.
And he had, like, the Force Ghost at the end. You see Obi-Wan and Yoda. You see him show up as Anakin. You're like, oh, that's Anakin. Cool. Well, they replaced that, and they put in the actor who played Anakin Skywalker from Episode 2 and 3 because...
Hayden fucking Loserstein.
Yes. And supposedly that's because that was the last time he was a Jedi, and only Jedis can go into the Force.
And we've discussed this before, but it's so fucking stupid to take that look for Anakin, because if you're going to use that logic, I would say that technically Anakin was evil ever since he fucking, like, slaughtered all those fucking Tusken Raiders and shit.
Yeah.
Like,
he was tainted by it, yeah.
Yeah, just wanton murdered all those motherfuckers.
Well, even then, wouldn't you say that Anakin became good in the very end? So wouldn't he just look like the old,
just normal,
withered
exactly
at the very end of Return of the Jedi? Like it.
That's
that's
my entire point with that. Like, he should be like the old person. It's just Lucas shoehorning his prequel trilogy into that bullshit. And it's like, dude, like I said, again, you're erasing the contributions of that actor to Star Wars that no one else is ever going to know about. Because you're going to sit there and look up who played Darth Vader in Return of the Jedi. It's that fucking tall British dude and James Earl Jones playing his voice. You're not going to think about the guy taking off his mask. And that's probably the only thing that Star Wars fans are ever going to know of, especially newer fans. Older fans, yeah, they know who the guy is. But
yeah, and we get to look forward to Hayden Christensen reprising that role in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Oh, God, it's going to be fucking terrible.
Wait, what's the Obi-Wan? I know the Obi-Wan Kenobi series is about Obi-Wan Kenobi, but, like, when does it take place?
In between 3
before
and 4.
Episode 4, yeah.
Okay. So it's like when he's, like, on the run from the Empire or some shit?
Man on the run.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. It's going to be interesting how they tie it in together, because Rebels kind of covered a lot of that, too, when they Darth Maul, because, you know, Maul goes to Tatooine and he's killed by, you know, Obi-Wan.
Yo, we're motherfucking rebels.
But anyway, sorry.
Rebels.
So they had those DVD releases. They actually, quote-unquote, released the original cut of the Star Wars movies in 2006 on DVD, but really it was just a copy of the Laserdisc from 1993 version of it. And then in 2011, a year before Lucas sold Lucasfilms to Disney, they released the Blu-ray version of all 6 movies, which is the whole collection. So I'm thinking, well, this is the ultimate cut. There's never going to be anything else in it. I'm watching all these movies, and like Cody, I liked episodes 1, 2, and 3 when they came out, and it's only more recently when I've decided, or not decided, but found out I really don't like them. They're not very good movies. I have no interest to ever watch them again.
They're so lifeless and fucking boring.
And they're the 3 worst films in this franchise, including the sequel trilogy. There's a terrible scene in Episode 3 when they construct Darth Vader from the remainder of Hayden Christensen's torso, whatever you want to call it.
I hate them. Ah!
But
I hate you.
Well, this isn't in that scene. This is the no.
Yeah, but they're connected in my brain.
They are connected, yeah. Darth Vader takes 2 stomps away from the table, and when he finds out Padme's dead, he's like, no. Really bad. Like, the whole part leading up to the no was fucking badass, but then he says the no, I'm like, okay, that's really bad.
I like how in the scene, like, his voice goes from, like, this bratty, like, dumb kid to, like, fucking James Earl Jones.
That is great.
What about the scene in episode 3 where Obi-Wan reaches out for Padme, but it's just a photograph of her? Have you seen this?
No.
So Padme after she's like dying of heartbreak or whatever, and there's a scene toward the end where Obi-Wan goes to like visit her or whatever, and he's like reaching out his hand toward her, but the way I don't know what the deal was, but they filmed it, and it was literally Ewan McGregor like reaching his hand out toward a photograph of her laying in that bed.
Look at this photograph.
Was it like didn't they have like a screen? Like it was like a screen of her in the incubator or some shit?
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. But
and he's like, no.
It's very clear that that's what it is. It's like a 2-dimensional image that he's like reaching his hand out toward. It's like, this is awful. Like
he never learned.
This looks like something that some college student made.
He never listened to Nickelback, that song specifically.
Dun, 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 dun. Look at this photograph.
But going to that scene in Return of the Jedi, there's the epic conclusion to it. Emperor Palpatine, the bad guy of Star Wars, is a shocking Luke Skywalker.
He's putting his fucking index finger.
He's like, yeah, with
putting his index finger, his fucking middle finger, and his pinky into his ass and pussy.
There you go.
He's giving him a shocker.
Well, he's shocking him with his quote-unquote force lightning. Maybe his penis. We don't know. But the music is really awesome. Vader is looking back and forth. And when he makes his decision, you know it. It's just one of those things.
Don't put my finger in your ass.
two for the light side and 1 for the dark side, baby.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna put my pinky in his ass and then my finger into his pussy. He made his choice.
Okay, guys, let me get this bitch out real quick. This is the thing that bothers me, and I know somebody that actually likes to change. It's Cody. No, I'm just kidding. But in the scene, like in all seriousness, the scene is Vader's looking back and forth like he's making the decision. The music picks up when he makes the decision. He picks up Palpatine and he throws him over the shaft thing.
Over the railing into the shaft.
Of the Death Star, and Emperor Palpatine blows up. Now,
see, the problem with that is I have no idea what's going on. I can't understand it. I don't.
Well, that's good because in the Blu-ray release, they added Darth Vader saying no when he picks him up to tie him back to that scene in Episode 3. This was the final shoehorn that Lucas did. Now they actually have a Wikipedia page called "The Changes Made in Star Wars," and that was one of the ones that people hate. Like there's a visceral hate for that scene, and a lot of new Star Wars fans and these younger Star Wars fans are like, "I really like it. It adds to that scene because he doesn't really say anything before. You don't fucking need him to say anything.
It doesn't add anything. It takes something away because it works against show don't tell.
Golly damn, it fucking sucks." Like there's a YouTube channel, over 1 million subscribers, Star Wars Theory. Cool dude. He's a huge Star Wars prequel fan. Like, he will defend those movies. He even said, because he did a watch along of that movie, and somebody said, no, he said he thought Disney added it in. He goes, yeah, that was a terrible addition. They didn't add that in because it ruins the scene. Because the music picks up, you're like, oh, it's awesome.
No, don't electrocute my balls.
And if he says no once, don't you think Palpatine will stop and says, what was that?
He's like, what did you say?
No, you gotta speak into my good ear.
No.
But
okay, I'll just shock you too, though.
God, I literally will avoid watching that scene in that movie when I watch the Blu-rays of it. Like, it kills. I don't want to watch Return of the Jedi because of that. Because I don't have my DVD versions of it anymore.
Return of the Jedi always still irks me, though, because I just hate Ewoks.
Look, we talked about this. Going back to the archive, we talked about the Ewoks in our Apocalypse Now episode. Because it's a very similar scene with, how do I say this? Aborigines dressed up like Ewoks.
Be up. No,
They make those noises too. They throw these toy arrows. But yeah, that scene right there, the Darth Vader no added in Return of the Jedi. Even the people that think it's silly when people get so visceral about it, they even think that, yeah, it's a terrible addition. It doesn't ruin the scene for them, but it was not needed whatsoever. So, Cody, what do you think about that scene? You've seen both versions of the scene, right?
Yeah, I don't like it. It comes off really corny. The original where he's not, he obviously doesn't say no several times, is way better because it is like this. It's more impactful because it's like you see that he's making a split decision to do what he's doing, as opposed to like, standing up being like, no.
It's just silly. It's fucking
it's ridiculous.
Even like without like it just completely like ruining like the audience to allow to like figure shit out themselves.
Yeah,
it's obvious.
But I mean, we also got to remember this is like the time when like George Lucas, I think, was losing his mind. Like a lot of the decisions he was making around this time just were terrible.
He was like,
"Oh, there's another decision he made that we're going to get into in a few minutes."
Going through a divorce.
No, I don't see. The thing is, he wasn't going through a divorce.
He went through the divorce when he was making
Return of the Jedi
and Temple of Doom too, I think.
Yeah, but the woman still worked with him and shit like that. She was like an executive of it.
But
before we get super deep in, so Cody, you think the addition of the no is terrible, right?
Yeah, I do.
No.
Okay. And
no.
Owen,
fuck no.
I'm pretty sure you've made it clear you think it's terrible, right? Too.
It's fucking stupid.
Okay, so we all prefer the original scene where him saying nothing, and it's like the impactfulness of the music, and it's just like it's really emotional. You're like, damn, yeah, because he's looking at like this is the son that he didn't know he had, and he's looking at who he's been serving the last 30 years, the only semblance he has of his own family, which is Palpatine, because he serves him. And it's like he has to make that decision. We don't need him saying no. Now, the person I know that actually likes this, because I sent him both versions on YouTube so he understood what I was talking about, is my best friend Alex. Now, I'm not going to say Alex is a terrible judge of character, because one, he's my best friend, so that's one for him. Two, he has an awesome family, so that's two for him. Three, he is a Jaguars fan, so that's kind of going against him. Four, he hates the Tennessee Titans, so that's going for him. And then he doesn't hate, but he likes the no added into Return of the Jedi because that's the only versions he's ever seen. He's never seen the originals. He's a newer, just a casual fan. No deep connection to it. So that's a huge negative on him. But at least he got 3 out of 5 right, correct?
No.
No. That's awesome, Cody.
Maybe
okay, the other decision. Go ahead, Cody. I'm sorry.
Just something that came across my mind. Maybe this no would have been better if it was done by Tom Hardy as Bane, as Darth Vader. No.
Don't step on my balls.
I like to see like the scene in when Luke puts him on the shuttle as he's like before he leaves. He goes, "Take off my mask so I can look at you in my own eyes."
Like, oh.
What if it's like Tom Hardy's voice? He goes, "No one cared who I was till I put on the mask."
They should have done what they did in the superhero movies. Like, you're stepping on my balls.
Now, Cody made a reference to Lucas's decisions not being very sound at this point because he's getting ready to sell to Disney. And I totally agree with him. Another decision he made was making Kathleen Kennedy the CEO of Lucasfilm, the president. She has been with Lucasfilm. Let me just make sure I get the time frame right.
Years.
She's been with Lucasfilm since 2012 to now. Her biggest thing was, I think in 81, she co-founded the production company Abilene Entertainment with Steven Spielberg and Frank Marshall. Lucas put her in charge of...
Did Lucas put her in charge, or did Disney put her in charge?
No, he put her in charge before he sold to Disney.
Yeah, I didn't know this until...
Because I know this was like at the end of like a 7 or 8 year run where they couldn't keep a president there for more than like 2 or 3 years at a time, and that's actually what destroyed... part of what destroyed the LucasArts game division because like they would go from one president who's like, we're gonna do all this stuff to really bring back the LucasArts brand, and then like he would be kicked out, and another guy would come in and be like, well, no one gives a shit about video games,
God,
it's like
fucking. I can't. You made me think about LucasArts, and now I'm upset.
like that is in Star Wars 1313 was like the last casualty, unfortunately.
That like all the fucking good ass fucking adventure games they made. And...
Yeah, I mean it sucks. But anyway, go ahead, Lance.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say that so she started that company with Steven Spielberg. Spielberg and Lucas are best friends.
Yeah.
Kennedy became the co-chair of Lucasfilm Ltd. Alongside George Lucas. On October 30th, 2012, see here. Okay, the following month, excuse me. So May 2012, she stepped down from her company. The following month, which would have been June 2012, she became the co-chair of Lucasfilm alongside George Lucas. When Lucas sold Lucasfilm to Disney, there's a lot of Lucas in there. On October 30th, 2012, Kennedy was promoted to president. And her contract was extended through October 30th, 2021. And Lucas promoted her, and I'm sure, Lucas is like the second, I read somewhere he's the second largest shareholder in Disney behind the family of Steve Jobs. So he does have I'm sure he has some say and stuff like that, but then again, he doesn't have enough say to control Star Wars. She said a quote when going through Episode 9's promotional tour. J.J. Abrams said that he got into an argument with somebody he worked with on the movie when he was quoting something that happened in the original trilogy. And the other guy was quoting the same thing, but he said it differently. He goes, no, that's not what it is. He goes, no. And then they found out JJ was talking about the original cut, and he was talking about, the other guy was talking about the special edition. And then JJ kind of said, like, I asked him, why don't you just release the original cut of these movies on Blu-ray? And it was told to him that they can't because they're in such a dilapidated state because they weren't stored properly, that they're ruined. And then they asked her in an interview at some point about those movies. She goes, oh no, the original cuts, those are George's movies. I couldn't ever dream of doing anything with them. So he literally fucking put her in charge because he knew he could still get what he fucking wanted, and that was fucking the fans on the original trilogy.
Yeah. Well, he could get to what he wanted to an extent, because you also gotta look at like some of the crazy shit he has said since this sequel trilogy came out. It's like, well, in my sequel trilogy, it would have gone this way. It's like, then why didn't you fucking make it that way?
He's like, yeah, I sold it to the white slavers.
It's funny. It's funny because he before selling it, people asked him repeatedly, "Are you ever going to make more?" And the answer was always no. And then after these movies came out, and they were like, they ranged from mixed to like not very good reviews. Then all of a sudden he's like, well, this was the way I had planned to do it. It's like, you didn't plan to do it anyway, you dumb motherfucker. You were just sitting here saying it because you want your fans to stick their heads up your ass again.
He's like, actually, I'm super smart, guys. Listen.
Go ahead and touch my neck roll.
George Lucas took what was one of the most iconic franchises, and granted, it is one of the most iconic franchises still, but when you take the original trilogy and how iconic it was, he nearly destroyed Star Wars with the prequel trilogy.
But to be fair, he did. I'm pretty sure a lot of the merchandising and shit was George's idea, and that was basically ingenious, like to basically negotiate deals for all these toys and shit.
Oh yeah, and I mean, there's all kinds of stuff like toys, like people never would have thought of making toys about a movie at the time. Or video games, like there were Atari games. It's like no one would have ever thought to do that.
The weirdest thing is that George can sometimes be like really ahead of his time and kind of a genius, and simultaneously be like the dumbest motherfucker on the planet.
Yeah, like with Jar Jar Binks. And
hey. Let's not.
We don't talk bad about Jar Jar.
We don't, because that actor went through a lot of shit.
He's full of shit, dude.
There's nothing against that.
He filmed all those scenes in the rubber suit first in the desert.
Okay, yeah.
And then they made him go redo all the scenes for CGI.
How much? Yeah, but you know how much he got fucking paid for that?
Probably not a lot.
Probably 10 times more than we fucking make.
Well, yeah, that. But we're not comparing us to fucking grocery baggers and an electrician.
All he did was go, Mr. Jar Jar Binks.
Not electrician, but Cody's more important than that. But,
I could fucking do that. You could put me in a fucking Jar Jar Binks suit and I'll fucking walk around.
But dude, we don't have to. You kind of resemble him anyway. I'm
Yeah,
just kidding. I'm messing with you. That was kind of hurtful. I'm sorry.
Mr. Jar Jar Binks.
I just look. He got a lot of hate, and he hasn't done anything since. When you sign on,
he didn't get any hate. His character got any hate, and for some reason,
no, he got hate. Like,
yeah, I
even,
think the actor himself got a lot of hate because that's just how
even
shitty
Liam Neeson
fans
said
are.
that he got a lot of hate from the fans. He said it in a recent interview talking about it because he thought this guy was going to be a big star.
I watched like an interview with him, and he's like, "Well, no one was directly threatening or like saying mean things to me, but people were hurting the character, and I put a lot of myself into the character, so it kind of made me depressed." And I was like, "Well, I mean, shit,
What kind of person are you if that represents your own yourself?
Yeah. I like Mr. Jar Jar Binks.
I like to do this really awesome high dive, just standing on the ground like, what the whoa! Whoa!
Misa going home.
I don't have a problem with Jar Jar. I have more of a problem with the terrible CGI Jabbas that are in Jabba the Hutt looks different in every fucking movie. He only looks good in Return of the Jedi because he's actually
Didn't
a fucking
they,
puppet.
Edit out the puppet Yoda for re-releases.
God, let's not go into that. They did that for episode 1. They edited out the actual puppet to put in the CGI Yoda. I'm like, look,
and it looks worse.
It does, and the thing is,
My pussy.
somebody fucking put work into that. That's the one I don't understand, man. Like, look, I understand that they wanted the Jar Jar thing to be CGI. The motherfucker still sweated his ass off doing his entire scenes as Jar Jar in a rubber suit, only for George to go, actually, let's go back and you just stay in one place and redo all your scenes, but for CGI, okay?
Well, have you heard the stories of when they had the storyboards in they had them the storyboards up and wherever they were doing their creative work for the movie, and he came in with 2 highlighters, and he's like, this is gonna be practical and this is gonna be CG, and most of the storyboards were colored just to be CG, and people were baffled by the decision at the time.
I have an idea for the end of this episode, Cody. Owen sent me. He showed me a clip of Lucas talking about what year was that?
It's just a clip where he says something and I got this from a Red Letter Media review anyway, but it's a clip where he says storytelling or visual effects are just means to an end. They're not the story themselves. And he was like, sometimes creators get so caught up in making these visual effects good that they forget to make a decent story. And this was, I think, a little bit before he started making the prequels. I think it was the mid-90s.
No, he still had black hair. I think this was Return of the Jedi. He just got done with it.
Well,
it was probably around.
I'll tell you what, the practical effects in The Force Awakens are way better than anything in that prequel trilogy, as far as visual effects go.
Yeah, and look, BB-8 looks really good.
No disrespect to people involved with the prequel trilogies or anybody that likes prequel trilogies. Our hate or hatred or hateful messages that we're promoting on this podcast is directed towards Lucas. And like I said, him just trying to control the franchise and doing these stupid decisions. If you're a kid and you don't know any better and you're watching stuff and you're enjoying it, that's perfectly fine. If you go back and watch those movies and you like them, that's perfectly fine. I am probably the biggest of us Star Wars fans. I went through and watched all 11 movies, the 2 solo movies in between, Solo and the Rogue One and Han Solo movies. This is Star Wars standalones, I should have said, my bad. Yeah. I watched them in order for story context. I fell asleep during episodes 1, 2, and 3, and it took me 6 days to watch those 2 movies because I fell asleep and had to rewatch them the next night. I was just yeah, fuck it. I mean, I'm off tonight. I'm going to try to watch these movies. It was that bad. The best parts of episodes 1, 2, and 3 are Darth Maul and when he turns into Vader, and maybe a little bit of Jango Fett. Everything else is this is terrible. And you got Ewan McGregor, who's a great actor. You got Natalie Portman, who's a great actor. You got Hayden
nice tits.
You have Hayden Christensen.
Wait. Natalie Portman.
Let's walk back on that.
Natalie Portman is a good actor now. She's not very good in that prequel trilogy.
She was really wooden, and I mean, some of that
Blue Chew, baby.
Some of that might have had been due to George Lucas's directing.
Yeah,
because his fucking like if you've seen behind the scenes footage of him directing, it's like terrible. He's like the most fucking like, yeah. So there's like a 60-foot monster right there, and you need to look scared. It's like basically like that.
And we also got to like look at this. Natalie Portman was. Hold on.
Natalie Hirschlag.
He was like 13 or 14 during the first film, I think.
Yeah, she was like 13 or 14. She was a kid.
She was dating that fucking little 5-year-old, bro.
Yeah. He said he's supposed to be 9. He didn't look fucking 9 to me.
No,
That's what
like
I'm just saying.
6,
Yeah, he looks like a
5.
5 or 6-year-old. It's weird.
Lucas put her in charge, and from quote unquote the beyond the Star Wars grave, Lucas is still kind of controlling everything. It feels like
He's a puppet master.
Disney, like who fucking put these original cuts of the movies in a place where they can get like destroyed from moisture and shit like that? What
Fox,
fucking moron?
Somebody at Fox, because didn't Fox own the?
Yeah, but this is Lucas owning that shit. Man, they were probably just financing it.
Yeah, they had to have had like some kind of fucking like physical copy or something.
Well, it's not
film.
like the physical prints of the film when Disney bought Lucas, like they traveled anywhere. They were still on Lucas's property, like that film company, because I mean,
the excuse
everything that Lucas has though is
the excuse before that was that like Fox owned the distributing rights to the movie, and that's why they couldn't release the original cut. And then they bought Fox, and now the excuse is like, well, they're too damaged.
yeah.
But the thing is like, just give us like the fucking Laserdisc, fucking
no.
versions.
There is. You know what? I should get that for you for a birthday present.
What?
Someone has. You can get it online. A despecialized edition of the original Star Wars movies.
Yeah, I know
on Blu-ray.
that. Yeah, and they could just do that where they just edit.
Yeah, I think I'll buy that for you
that'd be pretty dope.
and just let you watch and see what you think of it, because it seems like they took out all the stuff with CGI and did everything they could, made everything original like they could. Anyway, so like Kathleen Kennedy, she's not going to do anything with it, and Disney's just like, oh fuck it, we're still making all their money, but they would make so much more money if they released the original cuts on Blu-ray. I'm just saying that. So I guess we'll get into Star Wars.
We'll start talking about an hour into this. We'll start talking about the movie.
Hey man, this is what everybody likes: is us talking about this bullshit. Alex gave me, and Alex, here's another thing. I'll give Alex.
A long time ago, in a galaxy kind of far away, I guess.
Well, Alex gave us a review on the latest episode he's listened to. So this will give him like 4 out of 6, correct? Yeah. You know, 2 being he's a Jaguars fan, the Darth Vader no thing, that was bad.
And then the other negative being that he likes this podcast.
Oh yeah, that too probably. No, but he said that we had a very good Gorley and Russ vibes, which is awesome. That podcast is so much fun. I have a 234 minute podcast they did on Jaws I still have to listen to coming up, Gorley and Russ. They're hilarious. Anyway, so going into this, go ahead, Cody. I'm sorry.
Just a quick off topic. Did you ever listen to that Jason's Mom song?
No, I didn't listen to Jason's Mom. I listened to the Friday the 13th song though.
You need to listen to Jason's Mom.
Okay, is it the Jason's Mom's got it going on?
Yeah, but all the lyrics are changed like to reflect like Friday the 13th, and it's like I think like you know, I think in the original song it's like, Stacy, can you come over? Or can I come over or something like that. But it's like, Jason, do you remember camp wasn't so great? It's like, it goes on and on about like how the counselors are having sex and his mom slaughtered all the counselors and stuff for revenge, and it's great. And then there's like a Psycho reference at the end of the song.
Well,
got me real undone. What even happens at the beginning of this fucking movie?
Well, they have that stupid scene where the pilot Poe goes to get a piece of the map.
Who's the old guy?
But you don't know.
Oh, okay, I thought like it was like a character.
I mean, he's been in a lot of movies. That actor, I don't know his character's name.
Yeah, they just kind of hint that him and Kylo Ren have a history. Maybe he was one of the people who was like worked at the Jedi Academy that Luke had or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I think he worked with his mom.
That's another reason. That made me remember another reason why I was kind of pissed that they were making these movies is because when I was growing up, I had read like the books. Like there's a trilogy of books that take place after Return of the Jedi.
Oh, there's a shit ton of books. But
yeah, I mean, there's a shit ton of books that take place after Return of the Jedi, but there's this prominent one called the Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah,
and like I was always a big fan of that, and like
Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah, I was always a big fan of those books, and like
what color was this again?
Blue.
Okay, Blue Chew,
It
everybody.
is Blue Chew.
Check it out, Blue Chew. Go ahead.
But yeah, so that just pissed me off that they were just wiping the canon clean, and then there's all sorts of stuff like that too. It's like, and like
Prince Exizor.
yeah, I remember the argument being like for why Disney like wiping the canon clean was a good thing was because it would just eliminate like all the dumb shit.
But then you get this.
But despite the fact that it was eliminating like really good shit too, but then like the new Disney lore is like fucking not. It's just as bad as the fucking old lore.
I mean,
like,
it really was just to clean up the stuff. So like whenever they
It's so
made
they
new
didn't-
movies, it
it was
wouldn't
so they
contradict.
didn't. Yeah, so they didn't have to step on anybody's toes, and that they could make movies about Han Solo's backstory
But
and shit like that.
it's like it's one of those things. Like the better way to do it is like I'm gonna use Gears of War for an example. Gears of War has had several novels written to supplement the games, but they've always said that the lore in the games comes first. So if there's anything in the games that contradicts something that happened in a previous novel, that the game lore is what's actually canon. And that could have been just how Disney did it. It's like, well, we're doing this thing. We know that there's a novel or whatever that like says that, you know, Han and Leia had 2 children. Well, the fact is they only had 1, you know.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. They had some kind of like weird, because like they were killing the old canon, but then they had some kind of like weird veneration for it too, where it's like we're gonna put it to rest or some shit.
They
like
did.
that.
They released everything at that point under the label Star Wars Legends, so it's
Yeah.
not canon anymore.
They still even re-released the shit. So
Yeah, because they're going to still make money. They did add Grand Admiral Thrawn back to the canon in the Star Wars Rebels cartoon.
And there is like a book series written by the same author. He's like remaking it basically.
Yeah. And you know, like I said, that's a lot of things like in between, like going back to the original trilogy after making those before Lucas made the prequels. People had written awesome like side stories for like the bounty hunters.
There's like legitimately like fucking so much content.
There is, and this is all like Lucas put it to you like this. He said it like, okay, I may get in trouble for saying this, but the canon is kind of like the Holy Trinity. The books are like the Son, the movies are the Holy Spirit, and I'm the Father. So it goes like he's trying to like do it like in his importance or whatever. I can't remember how he said it. But he said
Lucas
something like
was
that.
just like, you know, fuck all the lore that we created from the video games.
Yeah, his company hired these authors to make canon. Like they say, Boba Fett had an awesome backstory, and it was like a fucking awesome story, like Tales of the Bounty Hunters.
Yeah, they used to have like
But then they made him a clone.
Yeah, and it's weird because Lucasfilm did have like a position at it where like somebody, or maybe it wasn't a position, but they used to like review shit.
Oh, they reviewed everything, dude. They
Yeah, to
commissioned
make
these
sure-
authors to make this stuff.
Yeah, to make sure like it was fucking fit in with the canon and stuff.
Yeah.
That's where like Coruscant comes from, like fucking the canon, like or the expanded
And
universe. And shit.
Lucas, like, they interviewed the guy who wrote the little Boba Fett short story, which was awesome. It's probably about I'd say probably about 100 pages, and probably not even that much. But they interviewed him on a website, and he says, "Does it make you upset that they changed Boba Fett's backstory from what you wrote it as to him just being a clone of another bounty hunter?" He goes, "Not really. From what I heard, Lucas changes his mind daily on what he wants to do with Star Wars, so it doesn't really bother me."
Yeah.
But it came right down to it. But yeah, that's stuff they did. Like Disney, and I got into a long discussion, which probably highlighted more in like 6 weeks when we do The Last Jedi with my buddy Alex.
Less Jedi.
And like I said, Alex is just a casual Star Wars fan. He's new to the game. I don't think he started watching them until like probably 2014 or 2015. He's only watched them, I think, like one time a piece. I think he said he might try to watch them again. I can't remember like how long ago that's been in that conversation. But like I said, I've always like talked to Cody's always been like my Star Wars buddy, talking about shit since we started hanging out in 2010. But going into this, like these new movies, by the time I got to The Last Jedi, and I was already pissed off of what they did with the story, Alex was like, I know it's not, he said on Twitter to something to an extent, it was like, I know it's not the same as the expanded universe, but, you know, and I told him it's not so much that it's not the expanded universe. The expanded universe had stupid shit in it, and I agree.
Yeah.
There's also some badass shit. But when you're watching something, or you're listening to a song, or whatever it may be, you know if you don't like it. Maybe you don't have a good thing to be like, okay, this is what I would like better.
You might not be able
But
to
you
put it into
fucking know what
words.
you don't like about it.
Yeah.
You know? That was my problem about these movies. It's like, this is what I don't like about it. I'm going to go over like one or two plot points, And Owen, you stop me when you think it starts to sound too similar to another movie in the franchise. Okay, so there's an orphan on a desert planet.
Okay, stop. That sounds too similar to 2 movies.
Okay, sorry. Okay, well,
what movies does it sound similar to?
Episode 1 and Episode 4.
oh, okay. Well, look, this
Well,
is episode.
actually,
This
I guess-
is episode 7.
I guess
okay?
Anakin isn't an orphan.
No,
Well,
yeah.
Well, it's episode 7. Okay,
But it's just
All
like
right.
Obi-Wan's like, sorry, what was Anakin's mom name? Sorry,
Shmi.
sorry, Miss.
Shmi. Yeah,
Shmi.
Sorry, Shmi. We're only taking the kid.
Shmigo.
Um,
Sorry, but your ass is gonna fucking work as a slave for the rest of your life. Have fun on this shitty desert planet,
okay,
bitch.
just real quick though. Okay, but like think of it. Look, there's plans that they hide in a droid to get away from the bad people in this
Okay,
movie.
stop.
What is that from?
Episode 4.
Okay, the bad guy has a black helmet. He's dressed in
Okay,
black.
stop. That's episode 4.
The X-wing fighter cracks jokes. It's Luke Skywalker. You're supposed to say stop.
Yeah, but Luke Skywalker doesn't really crack jokes, but he is basically just like a fucking like Han Solo fucking like. Well, he's not even that big of a character in this movie. I
No,
expected him to
not
be
at
in there a
all.
lot
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, the biggest complaint from people, and I know this movie has like a fucking 90 something on Rotten Tomatoes, which I don't like referencing for myself, but it is a good reference point. It's a 93 on Rotten Tomatoes. I cannot wait to get to The Last Jedi. This movie is like a rehash of Episode 4 in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and it feels unnecessary because who the fuck hasn't seen like? I mean, of course you're gonna find somebody who hasn't seen the original Star Wars, but like, this isn't fucking like, I don't know, the first Star Trek movie. Like fucking, you don't need a reboot of this shit, you know?
Well, you know, in the plot in this movie, it is a huge rehash of Episode 4, but there are just certain elements about this movie that I do really like. And I
Which
think
is fine. Yeah, we're gonna go into it.
Yeah.
I don't want you to think I'm going to shit on like you. I'm just trying to get my frustrations and help Owen rediscover his love of Star Wars. So maybe he'll give The Mandalorian a chance because he has not watched it because he doesn't like Star Wars anymore.
Mandalorian is fantastic.
Yeah, I always hear people say that Mandalorian's really good.
But he also has a little bit of Cody in him. When a lot of people hype up shit, he goes, "Nah, I ain't gonna watch it. I don't want to watch it." Because Cody's very much a lot like that. He's like, "Nah, it's okay, man." So me and I'm a lot like that too. So it fits us three.
Yeah,
But us suggesting to each other to watch something else is like fucking pulling teeth.
yeah,
So
it really is. But yeah, that's a big problem I have with this movie is that like, I don't think any of the new elements that it introduces into the movie are interesting. It's
or
mostly-
original.
Or original. Yeah, it's mostly
You have a woman.
it's-
Ooh.
It's mostly a retread, and I don't find any of the new characters interesting.
Okay. Cody.
Except, of course, Finn. In the beginning, he has like there's an interesting conflict going on. They could have done a lot with his character, but then they just kind of throw that shit away.
I did like the stormtroopers in this movie not being clones because they do the clone trooper shit in the prequel trilogy, but at some point between the prequels and the original trilogy, they're no longer clones because they have different voices. And all that good shit. Because I was always wondering, like, well, if you change Boba Fett's voice, why doesn't the stormtrooper sound like Django?
Yeah, oh, come on in, you can.
Hey, yeah, you fucking, that sounded a knife. This is a knife.
Yeah, come on in.
But yeah, Cody, what was starting at like the beginning? Like, they introduced us to Kylo Ren, whose helmet is resembling the blue elephant from Return of the Jedi playing the piano in Jabba's palace. I just retweeted it too, Cody. You'll see what I'm talking about.
This is fucking stupid too.
His voice is like, I remember thinking like, he looks like a fucking anteater. This mask sucks.
Yeah,
but
I
I talked
remember-
myself into it after talking to Cody.
He looks and sounds just so non-threatening.
Yeah.
I'll say,
And from now on, the bad guy's name is Kylo Ren. We're going to call him Cody Ren because Kylo Ren has a fabulous head of hair, and so does Cody, and it's made of the same black silky material. So hair. So that's what we're going to be doing. So Cody Ren's the bad guy in this movie. Cody, what do you think about Cody Ren?
So I agree that like his helmet design is it's just kind of simple and
Do
boring.
you agree that he looks like you?
No, not really.
He cleared his
he has
throat.
he has like a really long, dopey face.
Yeah, he has a big ass nose.
Yeah, but the character itself, like, yeah, the voice is kind of dumb, but the first impression of like when he shows up and he's talking to the old man and he kills him, and then what really got me interested, or what really excited me the first time I saw it, was when Poe tries to shoot him with a blaster and he like stops it, which is fine, whatever, it's nothing spectacular, but they go on and they have a conversation and like it's just being held there the whole time. There's just something about it. It's like, okay, they're kind of establishing that Kylo Ren is very strong with the Force. It's not until later that he becomes like a whiny little teenager that he starts becoming less likable as a villain.
Well,
So-
I mean, they even break that own rule in this movie because he gets like showed like he can't fucking grab this lightsaber with the Force at the end of the movie. But like Rey, who was like never heard of the Force until fucking like yesterday.
And then her and Finn are like swinging this lightsaber around like they know how to fight.
I don't understand. I don't understand how Finn is using the lightsaber, because I always thought that the lightsabers were powered by the Force. And
No, well, not powered. I mean, you just can't use them with any kind of precision without using the Force.
Well, I mean, you could still swing it, but you're not going to be able to like deflect blasters or like official.
But yeah, like I agree. Like the fight later is kind of weird. I didn't mind so much that Rey was able to like stand toe to toe, because the movie is giving you this impression that Rey is someone who, even though she has no formal training with the Force, that she's very powerful, a very powerful Force user. She just needs to learn how to like
control it. I
control
guess.
it more.
But that's
But-
just
what
so.
Bluetooth for.
That
But
just feels so.
But then theoretically, when Finn picks up the lightsaber and starts swinging, Kylo Ren is supposed to be really strong with the Force, so he should just be able to kill him in like 2 swipes.
Real quick question.
But no, he
Not
sucks
question.
balls.
One thing I got to add in is Cody, when watching this movie, said that the lightsaber fight between Cody Ren and Rey at the end of this movie was like his favorite because it felt gritty. I'm like, Cody, it doesn't make any sense. She shouldn't know how to swing it.
No,
You should have seen.
So
where you
the reason I love this lightsaber
Because it was
battle
gritty.
so
It felt
much,
realistic.
It's not because it's gritty. It's because there's weight to the lightsaber swing. Like, you go from the prequel trilogy where everyone's twirling them like a freaking baton
But you already had weight in like the fucking episode 4.
Well,
Yeah, with the old people.
In the original trilogy, yeah, there's some weight to it, but like, there's just something about the way that they're swinging them in this film that like it seems like there's more intent to kill. You know what I mean? It's not like a in the original trilogy, it's more like a fencing match, and then in the prequel trilogy, it's just like a dance off pretty much, because they're twirling them and flipping and all this other crap. But this, it's like when they swing, it's like, I'm trying to kill you with this,
I'm trying to fuck you.
And I do think there's another reason why the Kylo Ren being on level ground with Rey makes sense, is because he's been injured before the fight.
But the thing is, she picked up a lightsaber and she's never seen one for 20 minutes before this. And now she's good at it. Like Luke.
It's the same thing with her flying. It's the same thing with her shooting the fucking gun. She like maybe fucks up once and then suddenly she's like fucking Clint Eastwood and fucking The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
See, and that's the thing though. Like Luke, he's strong with the Force. And he had to sit there and train. He didn't fight anybody with a lightsaber in the first movie.
The problem is that it makes her character uncompelling when she's just automatically good at all this shit. Now, I'm fine with her being a good mechanic because that absolutely makes sense. She grew up fucking like as a scavenger. And I thought that was a good like thing to have as her character, is like, she could do all this shit with the Millennium Falcon, like fucking fix it up and stuff. That's cool. But like, how the fuck is she like this expert pilot that can like outmaneuver these fucking, professionally trained pilots like for the Empire? How could she like?
Bro.
It's the Force.
That is the reasoning for it, and I understand what you guys are saying. There is,
but that's so fucking.
Like, how does she know how to use the Force though?
Well, that's the thing. It's like
Luke had to figure it out. He had to train for it.
She was born with it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, Lance, that Luke did have to train to figure it out, but if there's any,
that's part of the fun of the original.
And he wasn't
trilogy.
a test tube baby either.
As Owen, have you seen episode 9?
I know, I know her backstory. I know who her parents are.
So I think
we'll get into that bullshit too.
When you think about it, because of that, and that's what sort of this movie at the time I always felt like it was building up to, until episode 8 was like, your parents were nobody, and it's like, well, fuck.
And then it
like,
feels
what
even
the
fucking
hell?
worse.
Yeah, and it's like,
yeah.
But that's because J.J. Abrams had to come in and like, he had to basically salvage the damage that had been done from Episode 8, as far as like the lore and everything.
And let me say this real quick before we get into it, because there's going to be people that listen to it, if they do listen to this episode, that will be like, well, we liked it, because Alex was somebody, him and a couple people that he talks to online that I saw on Twitter back when I was discussing The Last Jedi. They liked that Rey didn't belong to anybody, that she was, it opened up the Star Wars universe. Okay, that's fine. And Rian Johnson wanted to go the opposite direction that The Force Awakens does. This falls back on JJ for even putting that mystery into the fucking movie, because we didn't have to have a who's her daddy storyline. But this also falls back. Hey, wait, this also falls back. Let me get this last bit out. This falls back on the other sin that Kathleen Kennedy committed and everybody at Disney. They bought the movies in 2012. They announced in 2013 when they did the press release, we're going to have the new trilogy come out every 2 years and a Star Wars movie in between. They were fucking rushing the shit.
What a ridiculous fucking, we're going to do this.
It's ridiculous.
Well, and then what's funny is like the movies in between were significantly better than the actual sequel trilogy was. And then they're like, you know what, we're not going to do these Star Wars stories anymore. It's like, those were actually really, really good.
Yes.
Did
and
you liked Han Solo?
Yeah, Solo's great. I mean, I know there's people out there that don't like it, but I think
Owen does not like Rogue One.
Yeah, I don't like Rogue One, though.
I love Rogue One.
I don't think it was gritty enough for what the fucking advertising was trying to make. Because it's trying to be like this war movie. He's like, I'm gonna make Saving Private Ryan, but set in Star Wars. But
Rogue One.
We need Tom Hanks and Vin Diesel.
I don't know. I just never really.
I went into it with no expectations, and it was before the Last Jedi debacle, and it was like, okay, I enjoyed it. I cried in that movie. It was awesome. But going back to Kathleen Kennedy, they didn't have a fucking plan for these movies. They hired 3 different directors and gave them total autonomy over their movies until JJ got Episode 9, because there was another director attached to Episode 9, and he left.
To me, that is the most egregious thing that they did with the sequel trilogy. They should have just given it all to J.J. Abrams.
Or given it all to Rian Johnson.
It's just somebody. I mean,
yes.
anybody.
I mean, look, I'm not even shitting on Rian Johnson. I have no interest in watching his movies. I know Alex and Cody have both told me that, Knives Out's a great movie. Like, I don't fucking care, to be honest with you. I'm not going to watch it. But you got to have somebody, have the story laid out for somebody's vision for these 3 movies.
Why did they even decide to do that?
Because they wanted to force the shit out and make the money.
Were they trying to just, emulate how, they did it in, the original trilogy? Where it's
those are still 3 years apart. 77, 80, and 83.
Yeah, they're far apart.
And even then, George Lucas had a lot of creative control in those. This, it was JJ setting it up, and then Ryan's coming in to do
whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, and to continue it, or just in a lot of cases, just kind of spit in the face of some of the things that JJ was establishing. And then I'm pretty sure that's why the third director was like, you know what, fuck this, I'm out. The thing is, this is a shit show.
I think the third director, let me look this up real quick. No, I ain't gonna fuck him. I will do that in that movie. I think that's the guy that's directing the Jurassic World movies, and he's working with JJ. Of course, JJ's working with Spielberg doing the Jurassic World movies, so they're buddies, I guess. But the thing is I have no problem with Rian Johnson wanting to be divisive, and then everybody's like, well, you know what? 8 movies in, they're really doing something different with Star Wars. I'm like, no, they're fucking not.
It wasn't interestingly fucking okay, so he's trying to be he's just trying to do everything that Episode 5 did, but just the fucking opposite, and just play on our expectations. Yeah. But he's playing on our expectations so much and doing the complete obvious thing that would be the opposite. So it's
but we can save a lot of that discussion for when we do
that movie. That was going to be a very venom filled episode. I can't wait.
Fucking piss all of that.
The thing is the thing is about the story. The story goes in these different things. You have to have Kevin Feige. I'm gonna put it this way. And here's to another extent. You have to have Zack Snyder. You don't have to agree with what he does in the movies, but at least his 3 movies, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, the Ultimate Edition, and his version of Justice League are consistent in tone, and it's his story that he played out. It makes sense. You may not like it, but it fucking makes sense. You watch these 3 movies together, and I watched them, and like I said, I sat down.
It's like whiplash when you go to the next movie.
It does, but the thing is, if you watch them, you can kind of sit there and ignore. Like, I know all the online shit now, so it's hard to ignore. But when I watched them last time, before I did this viewing for this movie, I sat there, okay, look, I'm just going to ignore it and try to enjoy these movies. And you can kind of piece them together. But Rian Johnson wants to introduce all this fucking bullshit, like, all these kids can use the Force. That's fine.
Casino!
There's a fucking stupid ass casino. I'm like, that's awesome. You're introducing the stuff that they're going to have to fucking hurry up and do with in the last movie. Like, Ryan should have been in charge of the sequel, the whole trilogy, or JJ.
Yeah.
And then JJ could have picked the directors or whatever.
Absolutely.
Just come up with a story that these people know what to pick up from.
To me, JJ made the most sense to do these movies anyway because he was coming off of those Star Trek movies. That, for me personally...
And he's a huge Star Wars fan, like you said.
For me personally, I never gave a damn about Star Trek. Like, I always thought it was boring. But then I watched those J.J. Abrams movies, and I thought they were fantastic. So, like, whenever they announced that he was doing Star Wars, it's like, that's great. But they should have given him all 3 movies instead of the original plans that they made.
I don't think anybody could have done that with the workload. In 6 years, 3 movies.
Yeah, it would have been fucking...
it needed to be spread out more as well.
Yeah.
Or JJ,
Disney
man.
was trying to make that money back that they had just spent on Star Wars. That's the problem.
It's funny because, like, I agree with you that JJ should have just had creative control, and partly definitely because of the Star Trek movies. But the funny thing is that I love, like, older Star Trek. I love TNG. I love...
the new generation for anybody that doesn't know
the next generation.
Oh, next generation, my bad.
I love the original series, and I love Deep Space Nine. And I love, the original movies, not the next generation movies. But when I saw the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies, I didn't like them because I didn't think they fit very well with Star Trek. But I thought that they were, like, they could fit pretty well with, like, Star Wars. So I definitely thought that he would be a good director for Star Wars. So I was happy when they chose him as the director for this first movie.
I know you didn't like his Star Trek movies, but when you watched them, did you at least think they fit the same fucking story because he was in charge of all of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he wasn't in charge of all of them. I think another director stepped in for another one.
Someone else took over the 3rd movie because I think at that point he was busy with Star Wars.
Into my penis. I don't know. One of them.
But you get the thing. It's like, he did the first 2. It's consistent. Rian Johnson wants to do. I wish I could have seen his own trilogy, like him not be involved with this, because, like I said, it turned into when anybody that criticized The Last Jedi, you were a Russian bot. Like, somebody wrote a fucking paper or piece or some shit.
It turned into because this was the hellscape that was 2017.
Yeah.
The fucking nightmare of politics that fucking shit was.
Yeah.
Oh, we're still in it. But.
Social media just became engulfed in all of that.
Yeah, literally every trivial, dumb shit like fucking Star Wars that has no geopolitical value whatsoever became political, which was the dumbest fucking thing ever. Yeah, it's because China fucking while they're trying to take over fucking or trying to spread fucking influence and hegemony over East Asia is Star Wars. Star Wars is so important to us. Get fucked, dude. Star Wars isn't that fucking important, you losers.
It is, and the thing is, I remember somebody saying it was the same technology or some bullshit. It was Russian bots that infiltrated our voting system for Trump, which I could kind of
make us hate Star Wars because it's so important.
Well, they also said they were the Russian bots who were writing the hate reviews of The Last Jedi.
And because Star Wars is the most important thing to America. Dude, you fucking make Americans hate Star Wars, what do they have? All right, it's that fucking who thinks like that?
It's one of those things Star Wars unfortunately has such a toxic fan base.
I think they're the first ones to have a toxic fan base.
I mean, it is horrible, and I mean, granted, there are plenty of other
and I've attributed to it too.
But Star Wars is particularly bad, and it's if you don't have the same general thought that fan base has, then they tear you apart for it.
You're a piece of shit.
And I've attributed that too. I mean, I still have my issues with my toxicity, my fandom. It's because I was raised in it. I guess I'll just not accept responsibility either. Yeah, it's frustrating. And like I said, I remember Cody, and it's coming from these opposite perspectives. Cody liked the Force Awakens more than I did, and then talking to him taught me into liking it more. And he loved at the time The Last Jedi, and you've always hated. I fucking hated with visceral. I walked out of it thinking this is the worst fucking movie I've ever seen. And
what was the things that tipped you? Because you didn't read any reviews walking into.
No, I'm like Cody. I was doing the best I could. All I got to get into the spoiler for this movie.
I think we go and see The Last Jedi together.
No, we had talked about it. I went to go see those Star Wars movies with my dad, just to kind of have like a father-son moment with him. Because he loved The Last Jedi.
Funny, The Last Jedi, I think, is the first and only Star Wars movie I've ever seen in theaters. I don't think I've ever seen another Star Wars movie in theaters.
The only two I've seen is, like I said, Revenge of the Sith and then Rogue One.
Interesting. Force Awakens too, right? Did you go in there and you left that one too?
No.
You saw it on home video, right?
I didn't even watch it on home. I watched it on like a pirating fucking thing. Like
I don't think I know.
Maybe you didn't like it because there's all those yars and the creaking of pirate ships in the background.
Yeah, and there we go. Sail ho!
Like, fuck, man.
2 points off the starboard bow, mateys.
So
Clue up those reef lines.
You know, you've talked about we've talked about Rey, we've talked about Kylo Ren. One thing I did want to mention about Kylo Ren is his lightsaber, and some people look at it and they're like, "Oh, it's so stupid. It doesn't make any sense."
I thought it was badass.
He would cut his own wrist off and all this stuff.
Cut his own pinky finger, bro.
But I thought, like, the first time in that trailer, you know, when they're in the woods and he drops it down to his side and you see the main blade come out and then you see like the little exhaust ports light up. I thought, this is the coolest fucking lightsaber I've ever seen in my life. It is awesome. And I think
Mace Windu's lightsaber's the coolest.
It's just purple. It looks like a regular lightsaber.
I thought Kylo's lightsaber was badass. Each bad guy's has got progressively cool since.
Except for Count Dooku's. Like, his was like...
No, Count Dooku's was cool
his.
too.
It was curved, bro, for her pleasure.
The hilt looked like a limp penis.
Yeah, dude.
Well, it looked like a fucking pimp cane too, dude. It's fucking, dude. That's fucking Count Dracula. You can fuck off, all right.
With the witches.
I don't have any
General
problem with
Grievous was
Lee,
fucking
I just
awesome.
don't like Count Dooku.
Look, motherfucker, his penis is curved to the left, pal. It's fucking for her pleasure. He can hit that fucking G spot.
You're right. The villains have always had, like, for the most part, at least to me, they've had great lightsabers. Obviously, it's cool seeing Darth Vader with the red lightsaber. And then you get Darth Maul, who, you know, this is the first time you see, like, the double-bladed lightsaber.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I said, Kylo Ren's, I think, again, is the coolest lightsaber I've seen in Star Wars, period.
I don't know. I don't really... I mean, I don't hate it, but I don't, like, fucking... I don't think it's the coolest.
I love how, like, just, like, homemade it looks, you know what I mean? Because there's, like, a bunch of wiring, like, exposed.
Yeah.
And the blade itself, it's not, like, so clean like most other lightsabers. It's got
it's
like
a very
this
fuzzy kind of like looking laser.
Yeah,
it's all right, I guess.
I think it's awesome. So
I think it comes down to Cody Ren as a character. Cody Ren as a character is trying to cosplay as Darth Vader.
I think it's unwarranted for the character because I don't think the character is that threatening.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the character, like I said earlier, the character to me loses any kind of potential to be a cool villain all around when you see him throw a hissy fit. You know, it's like
2 of them.
My pussy.
Yeah, it's just like this.
The first one, you know, he does the lightsaber shit. You think that would be an important control panel on the spaceship? I'm just saying, he's destroying everything.
It's just fucking like all the engines fail.
And then he looks back and he goes, "Anything else?" And then the other one, when she escapes, he's like, "No." I guess going back to episode 3, no. And then he starts throwing shit, and you see these fucking, you see these stormtroopers are like, oh, they just turn around, and walk away. Like, too much fucking Disney humor in this.
Yeah, that's a big problem with these new ones is that they injected like Marvel humor that doesn't work.
Visually, all 3 of these movies, just because the CGI is so great, are very beautiful. I will say that. There's too much Disney in this shit.
So something else I wanted to bring up, because we focus a lot on like the new characters that are in this. What do you think of the characters they brought back?
Han Solo steals the damn show.
Yep.
And it's funny because me and Lance were just talking before we recorded. Harrison Ford did not give a fuck, and you can tell.
Well, I don't think Harrison Ford's ever given a fuck about Han Solo as a character. Like, he just comes off like the guy who's like, when nerds come up to him.
Not to cut you off, I think he did. Like, they showed a clip of him talking on the Tonight Show with Letterman, and they were talking about, it was after the first Star Wars, and he was talking about like Han Solo as a character. He was talking about Chewbacca, and he goes, Chewbacca, I don't think you see it in the movie, but he's supposed to be 200 years old. That's why in the Solo movie he's 190 years old, because it's 10 years before Episode 4. And like he talked, I think he was like all the way up until Return of the Jedi. He went to the Tonight Show to talk about it. And he said like maybe a paragraph about the movie, and then it was really awkward. Like, all right, thank you. He was already done with it.
I think he grew to resent it because he didn't like it, just representing him as an actor, like this cheesy like Star Wars movie. Which is funny because he loves Indiana Jones though.
I think you're right. Is that he probably did care about it in the beginning, but it's just become so grating over the years because he always wanted to be like a big actor known for many roles. He wanted to be known as Harrison Ford. He didn't want to be known as Han Solo. So
well, hey,
but like I said, it's still funny that like he loves Indiana Jones though.
And
yeah,
well,
and
the thing is, me and Cody had a discussion because Cody was like he'd never watched it. At this point, when we talked about the character, this is a while ago, me and Cody were talking about it. He said he didn't like Han Solo or Harrison Ford. I'm like, have you ever watched like Indiana Jones? He's like, no. And he said Harrison Ford, just the way he acts towards Star Wars or Star Wars fans, he didn't like. And I'm like, well, you do realize that he was paid the least amount of any of the actors in the first movie? He never got paid royalties for it. So when he got to this fucking movie, he got paid 7 figures.
I like Harrison Ford. I think he's a good actor.
Well, I will say, watching, obviously over the last few years at this point, like I've grown to like him a lot more, and I think his best performance as Han Solo is in this movie.
Honestly, I think it's in A New Hope.
I think this one is just a relief because just like he came back as it, you know. Cody needs to watch The Fugitive. That's a great Harrison Ford movie.
You should watch Blade Runner. Oh,
Blade Runner is. He did. He doesn't like sci-fi movies.
Penis
Yeah,
so
I
hard.
know. I saw Blade Runner. I like Blade Runner. I still need to watch the newer one with Ryan Gosling.
I actually let Owen borrow that CD.
Yeah, I need to watch it soon. Probably watch it like tomorrow or something.
But yeah,
but,
Harrison Ford is great in this. But what about
Chewie?
Chewbacca?
I think so. The cool thing was they have the new guy playing him, but the scenes where he's standing still, they brought the original actor Peter. I can't remember his last name. The European dude. He's like 7 foot tall. Yeah. He stood in those scenes. He couldn't do the physical stuff because he was so old and broken down.
Yeah,
but he actually came back and they brought him in for the standstill scenes where he's just standing there. That's Chewbacca, and that's actually him.
Yeah, I really liked their chemistry was good between Han Solo and Chewbacca. Like,
oh, you're cold. That shit was cracking me up when he was talking to Finn. And he goes
cold.
like, and Finn's like, we could use the Force. He goes, that's not how the Force works. And then Chewbacca's like, oh. He goes, oh, you're cold?
I remember, I like the one, I forget where Finn is like, aren't you a war hero? Or no, he's like, isn't he a war hero? And he looks at Chewie and then Chewie's like, I don't fucking know.
And Chewie's like,
And I mean, like, I like moments like that, but like, this,
few and far between.
They're few and far between. And this brings up one of the point that I don't know if you guys will agree on me here is that with these new Star Wars movies, they feel kind of like even moments like that feel, I can't help but feel the board of directors sitting around a table being like, making these decisions for the movie and like, oh, it'd be good to have like this moment. Like, I don't know, they feel soulless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't...
A lot of that soulless feeling you're talking about, I think comes, for me personally, it comes more in the interactions between Han Solo and Leia.
Yeah, that was like kind of weird.
Very disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, because even in like the original trilogy, you get the idea like, yeah, they're going to end up together or whatever, but you don't really have a lot to establish that. So at this point, like just saying like, oh well, that relationship is long over. It's just like it's kind of hard for me to really care that they ever had a relationship at all because you never really saw that. I mean, they kiss, but that's it, you know.
No, they don't kiss in this movie.
No. I'm talking about in the original trilogy.
Well, I think even Han Solo acted kind of like weird. I don't know if I feel like it would just.
I think she had an STD. He didn't want to kiss her in this movie. No, they did that. I think somebody brought it up to him when they were doing like a Comic-Con visit or something, and they showed a scene of them kissing on stage for the fans. The fans were like erupting because someone mentioned like, why didn't you guys kiss in the movie? Because it was kind of weird. And like I said, they have this son. You find out it's Kylo Ren. He's turned bad. That's what happened in the expanded universe. They had 3 kids, 2 twins, a boy and a girl, Jason and Gianna, and the third one named Anakin Solo.
And
Jason. What, Cody?
They also named their son Ben, which I'm assuming is after Obi-Wan Kenobi because he was known as Ben Kenobi.
Well, yeah, and the thing is,
but it's
I
like
thought that was Luke's kid with Mara Jade or whatever.
yeah, he had Ben Skywalker. Like Luke had a happier story in the original, in the expanded universe. He, an emperor assassin who was a Force user, Mara Jade. They fell in love, had a kid named Ben Skywalker. But they stole the name Ben from that. They had to, because why would Leia fucking care who Ben is? She called him Obi-Wan.
That's my point. It's like, why did Han Solo and Leia have really nothing to do with Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Yeah,
so,
it is weird.
Yeah,
it's
just odd.
It's just one of those things. I'm like, they're just trying to combine all the shit. And like I said, in Han Solo, their son, their oldest son, Jason Solo, turns into a Sith Lord in the expanded universe. Ends up dying, just like Kylo does. Spoiler alert. And then Anakin Solo dies in some kind of shit. So
some
there's
kind
only
of
one kid
freak
left.
lightsaber accident where he lost his testicle. Who else do we want to talk? Can we talk about
Finn was incredible.
Finn's pretty good. I like.
He's number 3 behind Han and Chewie.
My favorite character though is the fucking guy with the big face that goes, "Well, that's 2 X-wings. We're gonna lose our whole fleet." And that's how he sounds. Do you remember that? It's like an alien. It's like
I think I know what you're talking about. Akbar's in this movie. Did you see him?
Akbar is in this movie. He dies in the next movie though.
There is one other major character.
What the
that
fuck?
shows up
You
in
didn't
this.
know that?
Yeah, I did. I'm just messing
Okay.
with you.
There is one other major character from the original trilogy that shows up in this.
let's get it at
C-3PO
the
and
end.
R2-D2.
Okay, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
We'll get to it later.
And my frustrations with this movie will go into that. And there's an awesome meme that will make me feel better at the end of the movie.
Okay, so how about we talk about the Kylo Ren Han Solo moment?
Well, this moment was ruined for me. Can I tell this story?
Yeah.
You guys go with core story time real quick. Okay, going back to my place of shop, if you will. It's a grocery store, and I had a cashier there working with me named Aaron. And Aaron was a small kid, very quiet, did like Star Wars, and you can get him laughing and stuff like that, but he talked very quiet, like, okay. You do realize. He would say this stuff, and he's a good kid. But he was talking about, he had seen it before me. I think I was seeing it Christmas Eve with my dad. He's seen it before me, and I was talking about it. I'm like, oh man, is it great? And then he let it slip out at some point. Someone died. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, dude?
Said, one of the cast will die.
And then he didn't say it like that. It would have been funny if he said it like that. It's like, because he actually has a good little movie announcer voice. But I'm like, dude, who is it? Is it fucking Han Solo? He's like, yes. I'm like, motherfucker! You ruined it for me. But guess what? About 7 months later, I got my fucking revenge. He hadn't seen Batman vs Superman yet, and he went to go see with me Suicide Squad. I saw it a couple times at theater, and I thought about it. We had talked about it, and I'm like, oh, hey, Aaron, have you seen Batman vs Superman yet?
I feel like we talked about this before.
I know. I gotta finish it here
on this podcast. I think we talked about this last episode.
Probably, but I like the story. You ain't got to shit on it.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think you're kind of shitting on me.
Yeah.
Well, you ruined the story. I can't do it now. You just ruined the story. Go ahead, Cody. It's fine.
Are you going to finish it?
Cody, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I'm like, did we lose Cody?
He's dead.
But no, like, I told Aaron, I'm like, Dad, did you seen Batman vs. Superman? He goes, no. I'm like, oh, okay. Superman's dead, asshole. And the movie started. You show the opening scene. They show the newspaper article. Superman's dead. And he looks at me. He goes, why? I'm like, fucking revenge for Star Wars, you asswipe. It was great. That fucking moment, though. Knowing going into it, it took away from it. I didn't have the emotional impact of him dying.
Yeah.
But also knowing from Cody that he hated Star Wars, that he probably wanted to die in it, it kind of made sense going into it.
He was like, please kill off my character now.
He's like, kill me now. And it's just like, it's a little shit. Like I said, he's half-assing his Han Solo stuff, and he's still great. And I like the actor playing Kylo Ren. I think he does a good job for what he's given. But ultimately, the Kylo Ren is an insecure child cosplaying as Darth Vader. That's what he is. I mean,
that's not like a bad idea for a character, but that's like not a good villain. Really.
Not when you're like 6'3". I could see if he was like 5'8" and didn't grow up. No offense, Cody, but Because Cody's only 5'9". There was a joke.
I'm 6 foot.
Oh, sorry, Cody.
He's 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot
Tall.
6'2"
But,
with the third leg.
Hey, baby.
When you get an erection, when he untapes it.
Blue Chew, come get it. 5th ad. All right. Yeah. What do you think about that scene, Cody?
You're still referring to the Han Solo, Kylo Ren.
Yeah, the interaction on the bridge. It looks like a Mortal Kombat bridge. Like fight.
I think it's funny because I'd said I'd spoiled the movie for myself way before I ever saw it, and this scene still got me. Like I still teared up a little bit because it's so emotional. Like you really think for a brief second that Kylo Ren says something like, "I know what I have to do. I just don't know if I'm strong enough to do it." And you think for a brief second, like maybe he's talking about giving up the dark side, and he's just too entrapped in it. But obviously he's talking about killing Han, and just Harrison Ford does a fantastic job in this scene. Like you can really feel where Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher kind of lacked that emotional impact, talking about their relationship and everything. This made me believe that Kylo Ren is Han Solo's son. You know what I mean? And
you don't think the DNA test helped you though?
Yeah, to be fair, he doesn't look like either of them. So what the fuck?
Well, I mean, they did have a little segment before this episode. It's a deleted scene, but they're on the show Maury, and they go, "You are the father."
Yeah, but when Han Solo dies and he falls into the pit, and then what really just hits it home is Chewie
yes,
crying out.
Yeah.
It's oh shit.
That Chewie fucking admits I got so much emotion from Chewie in these 3 movies. But in episode 9, spoiler alert, there's another scene where he kind of starts crying and just getting upset. And I fucking feel so bad for Chewbacca in every fucking scene he's in when he does that in these new movies. When it's the best actor is not Han Solo, but fucking the actor in the fucking Chewbacca suit, you got a problem with the movie. I'm just saying.
And that's what I'm trying to make a point of here is that all the good emotional scenes out of this movie are just building off shit that are just taking shit that was in the original series. Would you care if Rey died? Would you get upset?
No.
Would you care if fucking
Poe
Finn
died?
If Poe Dameron died, would you care?
No.
If Finn died, would you care?
Yes.
Maybe a little bit because he's the only interesting new character.
He's the only character that has any personality.
Yeah,
that's fun. I mean, he's funny, but he's also cowardly and shit like that, which is awesome. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. That's just the problem I have is that I don't really have, and like I said, I like Finn, but I don't have as much of an attachment to him. He can't carry the whole fucking movie for me.
Oh yeah, I agree with you on that. I'm just saying of the 3 new characters, he's the one I care about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I probably put a little too emphasis on that.
Yeah,
but I do agree 100%.
He gets kind of stupid in the next movie though.
Kind of, yeah. What about you, Cody?
I cared about both Finn and Rey. I don't know. I guess if I'm just focusing on this movie, I care about Finn more. But they ruined Finn in the next 2 films. He just kind of gets pushed to the sideline.
They really did.
But Poe especially is I don't care because he's hardly even in the movie.
He's useless.
Yeah, I mean he shows up he's in the very beginning, and then he shows up again
he's such a non-character, and it's so weird that they spend so much of the climax of the movie with him because he doesn't fucking it'd be like if in the original Star Wars they just showed you fucking Captain Antilles, the fucking captain who gets choked out. What if they just showed you a scene of him putting the fucking disc into R2-D2, and then he runs away, and then he shows up again for the end of the movie to fucking blast a hole in the Death Star.
Do you remember Wedge?
Yeah, I remember Wedge. I liked Wedge.
Yeah, he's kind of like Wedge, but with too much camera time and not funny jokes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. And it's and what I don't understand is about the story, and it's a big plot point. The end of Return of the Jedi, and I'm going to go back to this when we get to the ending of this movie, or ending of this podcast. Return of the Jedi, the Empire is defeated.
Yeah.
30 years later, you have the New Republic. You have the remnants of the Empire, which is now called the First Order, and then you have the Resistance. What the fuck are they resisting?
I guess the Resistance. like, I didn't understand too, and this is like, I was talking to Lance earlier, and I said that one of my...
I thought we were doing sign language.
We were fucking...
Oh, God.
But, like, a problem I had when this movie came out is that the conflict in, like, the overall events of the story just felt so contrived to try and make it like it was the original movie. Like, okay, so they have to be, like, underdog rebels. So let's make it to where the New Republic, who was, like, in fucking war and beating the shit out of the Empire, doesn't care anymore.
They're as useless as the old Republic was.
Yeah. And it makes, like, the fucking, like... And that was another complaint I saw, which I kind of agreed with, is that it makes the actions of the original heroes in the original trilogy seem so much more useless. Yeah.
Well, I guess from that aspect, though, it's just sort of a thing, like, it's just, history's bound to repeat itself, right? So, like, it's just a cycle, but
this is exactly the same.
I don't think 30 years is long enough for that cycle to repeat.
Well, the thing is... Go ahead.
Like, that's barely enough time for a new government to really, like, take effect enough to actually have any sort of impact.
And I just don't get why the fuck would, like... Okay, so I guess we're getting into, like, some lore here instead of just, like, UV technical shit, but, like, why the fuck would the New Republic, or why would the rebels, the original rebels, just stop fighting the fucking Empire while they were kicking their ass? Like, why would they just be like, okay, whatever, you can have, like, half the galaxy?
And the thing is, like, going back to, like, the original story and then the prequels, the Republic was such a big part of the prequel story, and then it's a throwaway line in the original series.
Yeah.
When, you know, like, the Emperor's done away with the remnants of the old Republic. It's gone.
Yeah.
And you go to this, it's like 30 years later. So you have the New Republic who are doing nothing, and then you have the First Order, which is really just a fragment of the Empire, but it seems just as big as the Empire.
It's fucking even bigger because they have, like, this massive death planet where I guess they can just... And it's so funny. I remember, like, fucking when I was watching this earlier, I was fucking astounded by the fact that, like, so they fire up the laser, they destroy, like, 3 fucking planets, and they're like, there we go, the New Republic's dead. It's like, I swear to God, they said that, right?
Yeah, they did. Well, yeah, because they destroyed all the planets of the New Republic. The main
so there's
people
only
on.
like 3 fucking planets, like, of the New Republic.
Yeah, I think it's probably like 5 or 6.
And
really.
how the fuck would they?
I think one of them was actually Coruscant was actually destroyed.
I thought it was. I mean, it might have been. It just doesn't fucking like one. How would they get their like big dumb ship like fucking close enough?
No, that wasn't the ship. That was from the that thing. They just shot it and it turned into like.
So like they could shoot from halfway across the fucking galaxy.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
It is like, where would you get the resources of the shit? And then, like said, like the Renaissance.
And they explain
what the fuck?
They explain where they get their resources in the fucking last movie, but it's so dumb too.
Yeah, but you don't know it at the time though.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I don't think anybody knew it, but it was on the fucking. Like I said, it's really fucking just ridiculous when you think about it.
What do they call it? The Star Killer or something like that?
Star Killer base, which is
from the fucking games.
The games, who was the Star Killer?
Force Unleashed.
Yeah.
Which was an awesome, pretty fucking character.
Speaking of an interesting fact about The Force Unleashed, when they were making that, obviously the apprentice's name is Star Killer.
Yeah.
But all creative decisions had to go through Lucas, and they actually wanted him to become a Sith Lord by the end of the game. And so they asked Lucas if they could do it, and he gave them a name that they would give him as like his Darth name or whatever. The Darth name that he told them to give him is Darth Icky.
Darth Stinky.
Hey, do it in the Lucas voice, though, Owen.
Oh, I want him to be named Darth Icky, disgusting loser.
So the developers were like, yeah, we're not going to make him a Sith Lord after all, because they didn't want to use that ridiculous name.
Darth Icky nasty, bro.
Yeah, it's ridiculous that they use that name on that.
It's like General Grievous.
Hey. His lightsaber shit was pretty cool.
Captain
General Kenobi! Hello there.
That's the captain. I'm a bad guy. Colonel Bone to Pick.
Kenobi.
Admiral, I'm a bad guy.
There's a thing on YouTube. They use Godzilla mods, and it's Godzilla jumping down with a lightsaber, and it's Obi-Wan's voice. He's like, "Hello there," and then it turns around, and it's like a darker Godzilla, and it's supposed to be Grievous, and he's like, "General Kenobi." It's fucking stupid. And then they do the entire scene from episode 3 when he's doing the Padme was alive, you know, all that shit.
Where's Panda
But
Bear?
it was Godzilla versus Godzilla for Obi-Wan and Anakin. But when he became Darth, Vader, he was Mecha Godzilla. And it's fucking, I'll send it to you, Cody. It's fucking hilarious just watching. He's like, rawr! It's wonderful. But that thing, like I said, I don't understand why there would be a resistance to the First Order, since the resistance should be like with the Republic.
Yeah, you think
the
it'd just
New
be
Republic
like
should be way bigger than the First Order?
Yeah, you think it'd just be the New Republic army or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they have to be resistance for something.
And like I said, supposedly Leia was a high-ranking official in the New Republic. And in the Disney canon, and supposedly when it got out that her dad was Darth Vader, it ruined her political career or some shit like that. That's the backstory that they put into it, which you could not gather from this fucking movie.
Yeah, because don't they refer to her as General?
Yes.
General. She not princess.
It's like, I don't know of a much higher rank you can get within a military.
Oh no, she was a public official though.
Generalissimo?
General Grievous?
Admiral,
Grievous?
I'm a bad guy?
Admiral, I'm
but
a
anyway.
bad guy.
So, quick story. You run across, you have a orphan girl she wants to find her parents instead of just who her father was, like Luke Skywalker, but she's on a desert planet that looks exactly like Tatooine. She's actually dressed up like Luke Skywalker, but more female, and she has a ponytail. Darth Vader's grandson is the bad guy. He dresses up like his granddaddy, even though he doesn't know his granddaddy. And Han Solo and Leia are not together, and that's the only time you see a scene between any of the original characters is Han, Leia, and Chewbacca after the Han and Chewie stuff. And then, good guys win. Han Solo dies, and going to the end, Leia, they find the piece of the map which I really find odd.
And then it sings the map song from Dora the Explorer.
Yeah. But the thing I don't understand is if Luke was trying to get away, why would he have a fucking map to go find him?
He's like, just in case you guys need to find me.
It doesn't make any sense. Like,
I'm going to split this map up into several pieces.
Wait, I don't want you guys to find me though, actually.
And then, by the way, Rey, which is the girl, she actually has Luke Skywalker's original lightsaber, which was Anakin's.
Hand waved away for how the fuck she found it was, that's the story for another time.
And that chick, she's supposed to be like 1,000 years old. She moves way better than Yoda, who was only 900.
With her butthole eyeballs.
Yeah. Oh, yes. She's got leathery belly button eyeballs, aka butthole.
She said, I shit out of these eyes, so.
I see some shit with these eyes, and I shit out of these eyes.
I have, in fact, literally seen some shit with these eyes.
Oh, you just see a turd plop over her eye in that moment.
But it gets smushed onto the glasses.
They find Luke, and that sets up the next movie. Yay, hooray.
And then he throws the lightsaber. And
Spoiler alert, you asshole!
I was going to say, we need to talk about the Luke Skywalker scene.
Okay, real quick. I'm going to get real heated with this. Let me go ahead and get this meme out of the way so I'll feel a little bit better, because if not, I'll have an aneurysm.
So, what I mean is we should probably discuss the Luke Skywalker scene as it is in this film, because obviously the next film immediately starts with this scene. Or maybe there's
what is it to discuss, though? He looks like he was waiting for a pizza to be delivered.
Well,
yeah, what the fuck? It was
extremely disappointing, because it's like you want to see Luke Skywalker and he's in the film for like 10 seconds.
Well, JJ said...
He doesn't say a word.
Yeah, he looks like he's waiting. He takes off his hood. He's like, do you have the pizza?
He's like...
And I got to take some milk out of this space monster's titty in the next movie because you don't have no pizza.
This podcast is brought to you by Blue Milk.
JJ, yeah, it is. JJ said that...
You need some milk.
JJ said that he put Luke at the end of the movie because he felt like if the audience saw Luke, they would instantly cream. Well, they would instantly cream, but they would instantly not care about Rey. So they saved it off to the end. You know how you solve that? With better fucking writing, JJ.
Well, I still don't care about fucking Rey. Okay?
I don't. And let me tell you something, and I'm gonna let Owen and Cody take this up. But for me, you should have started this movie with all the original characters, and then you fucking bring in the new guys so you start caring about them. Then you kill somebody off and give them motivation. That's how this shit works. You don't sit there and be like, okay, let's introduce them here and here, and then the last one will be in the back until the very end, even though he's not going to interact with Han whatsoever.
Or
we didn't fucking want that.
Or you could have just set it like far into the future and not had any of the original characters and like.
Yeah, but everybody wanted Han and them like that.
Yeah, but
Well,
I don't know.
It wouldn't be a sequel trilogy if it didn't have any of the original characters in it.
Exactly. You had to finish up that story, and like I said, I felt like if you had the original characters,
Well, I mean,
and fucking including Lando, they
But
felt like
the thing
Lando
was-
wasn't
But then
important
the thing
enough.
is, like, one could argue, was there really a story to finish, or did they create
Yeah,
a
that's
story?
exactly what I'm. They're trying to just create a story, and like you could have just done that if you set it like far into the future to where it's like, okay, all these original heroes are dead, and they're kind of like legends or some shit. Like you could have done that, but I mean, I don't know. Yeah, they had to extract fan service. I know that because people wouldn't have fucking.
There's a lot of money to be had with it.
Yeah, they couldn't.
Yeah.
Have, people wouldn't have lost their shit.
And the thing is, it's like, I understand what everybody's like. Okay, how do I put this? When you guys say, was there a story to be told? No, you didn't have to have a story to be told. But the fact that they were going to continue the story and the potentials of that excited me as a Star Wars fan. Like, I'm not ever asking for more. If I am, I already have something in mind. But when I get this unexpected surprise of new Star Wars movies, I'm instantly excited because it should be endless possibilities. Unfortunately, we got to rehash Episode 4. And there are a lot of things in the expanded universe that they kind of took and borrowed and just tweaked just a little bit, added in there to make it look like it was their own idea. And maybe that was for fan service. But there was some good shit in the original universe. But then again, you have a lot of people that watch these movies and just the movies, and they shit on Star Wars fans that like the expanded universe. Like, going back to this whole thing, when they announced they were going to do a Boba Fett solo movie, and people shit on it. He's not even a cool character and all this other shit. Like, people were getting mad at this character that was a cult figure for Star Wars fans, and who is extremely worldwide famous. They got mad he was getting a character just because fans liked him, because they wanted like something different.
Well, those people are just fucking.
They are the same
They're
people.
just-
And I
those
remember
people are
when
just
they
trying to stir up shit to get like fucking
oh yeah.
attention.
And the best part is though, and Cody can like verify this for me, like they didn't announce, like when they had the new crop of Star Wars shows coming up on Disney Plus, they didn't announce anything for Boba Fett, so everybody's like, haha, they're not getting a show. Then they did the surprise announcement, and then everybody instantly fucking bitched. Like, every time they create something new with Star Wars, they have to make the universe smaller by bringing in an old character. Dude, shut the fuck up. This isn't for you. This is for the fucking fans.
Star Wars is the most serious
Like-
fucking thing on the planet.
Golly damn, this is what fucking just pisses me off. Because I'm like, yeah, it should be an endless thing, but you have to have fucking characters you care about. We're just fucking like jerking around the phone.
Obviously,
Yeah.
the best thing that they could do in the future is, and I think when you look at the upcoming slate of Star Wars series and movies that are the ones that are coming, you do see a better mix of like, this is a character that's established, but these things have potential to not be connected to those so much. We'll see, because I thought The Mandalorian was going to be pretty much its own thing, and they've obviously had tie-ins to like the older characters.
Hey, the tie-ins have been fucking awesome, though.
I mean, they have
Fate.
been great. Don't get me wrong, and they're not like they don't overstay their welcome either. It's not like the Mando went and found Obi-Wan and like is holding hands with him and running around or anything, which he can't do. He can't do because he's dead anyway at that
No,
point.
but Mando found Boba Fett and was running around holding hands. So
yeah,
Hello there.
hey, but the Boba Fett, at least they made Boba Fett badass, like everybody imagined him being.
yeah. But I mean, you do have things coming up, like they're making a Disney Plus series based on what is that guy's name? The character's name from Rogue One.
Abraham Lincoln.
He's played by
Oh yeah, that
By Abraham Lincoln.
the rebel guy that's trying to get the plans
yeah, I can't
that
remember.
nobody
his name.
fucking cares about.
Yeah, they're making a series based on him. But even then, like, it's like a new character they introduced that they're focusing on for a series, and it's not, well, here's another thing tying back to the original trilogy,
Give us fucking nostalgia bucks, okay?
Yeah,
Yes,
so
with your
I mean,
fucking
and that-
nostalgia.
to me,
I'm paying for it.
that would be the best thing. There's also a film coming out. I think Patty Jenkins is the one directing it, and it's Rogue Squadron. So maybe that also
Is it
has
gonna have
potential.
Wedge? Is Wedge gonna be in it?
Probably.
I don't know.
Hey, they did bring back Wedge for a cameo in Rise of Skywalker.
They should wedge my fucking protractor in my dick.
Wedge it in their ass.
But yeah, I think we can have a more in-depth discussion about the future that they've laid out at the end of our episode 9 episode.
Because I have to look at it because I've been kind of
Yeah,
closing my eyes.
it's been a while. Disney had like this big they called it the investors meeting or something back in like November or December, where they announced just like a ton of stuff between like Disney properties, Pixar, Star Wars, and Marvel. I mean, there was like a crazy amount of stuff revealed during that. So I can't remember everything that they talked about. So should we get into our recommendations?
I think it's worth one watch, like that fucking Greatest Showman we just did. I watch it, and like I said, it's infinitely better than anything of the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
But none of these new movies rank anywhere above the old trilogy. So if you're gonna watch Star Wars, I suggest you just watch the original trilogy, 4, 5, and 6, and don't worry about the rest. Don't watch the Blu-ray cut either, because no. But other than that, I do think this is a decent movie. Decent to good, depending on your mood. If you've never seen Star Wars, you watch it, you're like, damn, that's actually pretty fun. Like, the fights look awesome. It's pretty. There's no like really bad CGI that stands out, and they actually have practical effects still. I just think that every time I watch this movie, I'm filled with hope for what the next few movies could be, but then I remember the next few movies aren't what they could be, and it just fucking just kind of falls apart after this movie. Like, it's a good setup, but it's a huge letdown at this point. Like, that Luke Skywalker throwing the lightsaber over his shoulder is like throwing us over the cliff after this movie. So, Cody, I'll go with you next, sir.
What the hell is that noise?
Sorry,
That's a cat.
That's my cat.
Oh.
She wants treats.
Oh. So yeah, I do recommend this movie. It's definitely not the worst Star Wars movie. I think
Episode 2.
Episode 2 is by far the worst. I mean, I don't think there are people who say it's great. I don't agree.
I think episode 1's worse than 2, but
I don't-
they're both bad.
I mean,
I don't know how long
episode
did
2
you
is so
watch it?
boring. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I recommend this film. I think, like Lance said, I agree. Like, the practical effects are good. I think we've already talked about. I think one of the best lightsaber fights in the entire franchise is in this film.
That's what you think, but
That. I mean, obviously, yeah, that's my opinion. But yeah, I definitely recommend this movie.
Owen, good sir, this is the first time you've ever watched this movie all the way through after being disgusted with it on a pirated site when you watched it with Johnny Depp. Please let us know what you think. That's thanks for the laugh. I appreciate it. I worked hard on that joke.
So, I think
Go ahead, shit on it. It's fine.
nowadays, or with all these other sequel movies coming out, or have already come out, and we've seen where the story goes, I wouldn't recommend it. I don't know. But back when this movie came out, I do understand that while it wasn't a perfect movie, it was okay enough, and it had the same tone as the original Star Wars movies in the same sense of adventure. So there was a lot of hope for what, because you said it, and like it just clicked into my head that like, while I think the hype around the movie was that while it wasn't amazing, but there was enough hope watching it that you could think that the sequels are going to build upon this and make it even greater. But
Throw it over the cliff, though.
But yeah, and then The Last Jedi came out, and it was fucking terrible. And I think that made everybody turn against this movie too. But I've never been a big fan on this movie. I always thought it was kind of boring. It's not. I don't really have a great emotional attachment to it or any of the characters, besides the ones that were already established in the original. So yeah, I don't know. Just pass. I guess I would pass on this one.
All right. Well,
Well,
yeah, it's just disappointing because I want to like this movie more than I do, and I remember, like I said, I first watched it, and I didn't really like it. I didn't know why, and then me and Cody had discussions about it. I probably had like a few text messages with Alex about it, and I'm like, you know what? Let me give this movie another chance. I rewatched it. I really liked this movie, and I was so fucking hyped for The Last Jedi. And of course, you know, we get The Last Jedi, and I have never walked out of a movie more pissed off in my life than The Last Jedi. And I didn't watch it for like over 2 years. I didn't even rewatch it before I watched Rise of Skywalker. I don't think I saw it till later. I just watched Rise of Skywalker because that kind of undoes what Episode 8 does. But yeah, so real quick, how does everybody feel after this therapy session about this movie?
I feel good. I'm looking forward to our Episode 8 review.
Good like I should.
But
That's good.
we do have 2 other episodes that will come before that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I wanted to make sure I got this out because
this is your moment, Owen. Have you chosen the next movie?
Yeah, it's Mad Max.
Okay,
Made
great.
mates. Made fucking meeks.
I'm looking.
the
forward
original
to that.
one with Mel Gibson. We should be more specific.
Mel Gibson. Well, the new one's just called Fury Road. It's called Mad Max Fury Road. So
Yeah, there's 3 of them, right?
there's
Four
4
altogether.
There's
four.
Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior,
Which is where the Road Warriors got their name from. Thank you.
Mad Max 3 Beyond Thunderdome, and then Mad Max Fury Road.
And going back to a quick side thing when we were talking about Blade Runner, that's where Sting and the Ultimate Warrior got their tag team name, the Blade Runners.
After we do Mad Max, the movie that I'm doing is another new release film. It'll be The Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad.
I've been
Yuck.
running around the city with my
Hey,
squad.
so have they decided? Like,
All
not
my
decided.
friends are stupid. Take it slow.
How does this movie fit into the storyline?
So my understanding is it takes place after the first Suicide Squad movie. Years later, Amanda Waller comes back to organize a new group to take down another major threat. Which, if you've seen the trailers, you've seen who the big bad is.
Now, who is it? I don't think I can remember.
It's Starro. It's basically this giant alien starfish.
Is that why they have the shark in there?
No, King Shark's actually a Batman villain. I think he's.
I
think
never
he's
saw
from
him in the
Batman.
cartoon.
I think he's from Batman. He may be from something else and just also tangled with Batman. But
So how do they bring back Captain Boomerang if he's dead?
he's not dead.
He died in the first Suicide
He
Squad.
committed
Dude.
suicide.
Remember he tried to escape and he got killed?
No, Slipknot was the one that tried to escape. Remember Slipknot and
Dude,
Captain.
hey, go to Wikipedia right now on your phone and go. And Captain Boomerang got killed in the first movie. He tried to escape when they got up there, and he got fucking. I don't know what he got impaled with some shit. But he died, and they brought the same actor back to play Captain Boomerang in this movie. Tell me if I'm wrong. Say my name.
He's
It's
gonna
prime time, baby.
Don't do it. Don't jump. Suicide Squad.
No, so yeah, Captain Boomerang didn't die.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't. In the original movie, Captain Boomerang convinces Slipknot that they need to team up to escape, and then Slipknot tries to escape, and his head gets blown off, and then Captain Boomerang's just kind of like,
No,
all right.
his sweet ass mask, bro. They're fucking all their heads got blown off. How are they gonna sing fucking Before I Forget though?
Boomerang fucking died.
no, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
Be
I've
sure
seen
to
that movie
vote.
like 5 times. He does not die in that movie.
He dies with the fucking other dude.
Be sure to vote in our comment section. Who died? If
He
died
doesn't
or
die.
not.
You would have to go back and watch it. He does not die in that film.
Hold on a second.
Be sure to send your hate mail if he did die to Enigmatic Vein.
I don't fucking give a shit.
on
Fuck him.
Twitter.
Everybody, just let you know, fuck y'all. The Star Wars movie's not that good, and Captain Boomerang is fucking dead. So,
What about Captain Bangarang?
everybody say goodbye. Goodbye, everybody.
Oh, my balls
Bye.
itch.